The key to life is surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, those whose presence brings out the best in you. Fake relationships can be tricky to identify, much like distinguishing real gold from fool's gold. In a world filled with countless social interactions, where people often mask their true intentions behind smiles and kind words, figuring out who genuinely cares about us requires a sharp eye and intuition. Too often we get swept away by what seems like kindness, but in reality, we might just be getting used. Just as a farmer must know which plants are beneficial and which are weeds draining the soil of nutrients, we need to recognize who truly supports us and who drains our emotional energy. The ability to spot these subtle signs can be the key to protecting our emotional well-being and building relationships that last. In this video, we'll dive deep into the art of recognizing valuable relationships while steering clear of those that aren't genuine. If you're looking to improve yourself and build more meaningful connections, this is for you. Be sure to watch until the end, as every section is important and filled with insights. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue supporting you on your journey to personal growth. Number 1, unilateral benefit. Have you ever found yourself wondering if you're giving far more in a relationship than you're receiving, whether it's emotional support, financial help, or simply time and effort? One-sided relationships can drain your energy and leave you feeling unappreciated. Financially, someone may regularly borrow money or resources, making promises to repay but never following through. Emotionally, they rely heavily on you for support, validation, and care. But when it's your turn for help, they offer little to nothing in return. Practically speaking, they may frequently ask for your assistance or time, yet when you need a hand, they're mysteriously unavailable. This dynamic is much like a parasitic relationship in nature, where one organism benefits at the expense of another. The person in question drains emotional, financial, or practical resources without contributing meaningfully to the relationship. Over time, this imbalance can leave you feeling emotionally exhausted, financially strained, or simply unfulfilled. Often, this behavior stems from a deeply self-centered perspective and a lack of empathy. The user approaches relationships with a transactional mindset, focusing on what they can take rather than what they can give. This way of engaging with others erodes the mutual respect and balance that form the foundation of healthy relationships. Recognizing this pattern requires a sharp sense of awareness. It involves seeing the consistent lack of reciprocity and honestly evaluating whether the relationship leaves you feeling valued or used. If you notice that you're always the one giving, it may be time to reassess whether the relationship is worth the cost to your emotional, financial, and mental health. 2. Disregard for your needs or feelings. Have you ever found yourself wondering why, no matter how much you express your feelings, you always seem to go unheard in a relationship? When your needs and emotions are constantly ignored, it's not just thoughtlessness. It could signal a deeper imbalance within the relationship. It's like watering just one flower in a garden while the others wither and fade. Over-prioritizing one person's needs can slowly drain your emotional well-being. In such dynamics, your partner's desires seem to take precedence, while your feelings and wants are brushed aside or undervalued. They dominate the conversation, drowning out your voice and leaving you feeling unappreciated in a relationship where you're supposed to matter. This neglect can manifest in subtle yet painful ways. Sometimes it's the lack of empathy when you're vulnerable, leaving you unsupported when you need emotional care the most. Other times, it's minimizing your accomplishments or downplaying the struggles you've faced, making your concerns seem trivial in their eyes. Over time, these behaviors add up, chipping away at your self-esteem and causing you to question whether your emotions even matter. What's worse is that this disregard isn't always accidental. Sometimes it's a calculated tool of manipulation used to maintain control in the relationship. By diminishing your needs, the other person creates an environment where you feel weaker and more dependent. Their actions subtly reinforce the idea that your feelings aren't important. The impact of this kind of behavior is damaging, as it strikes directly at your sense of self-worth and emotional health. Everyone deserves to be heard, to feel valued in a relationship. When these basic needs are repeatedly overlooked, it leaves you feeling isolated, even when you're with someone you care about. Recognizing the signs of emotional neglect is the first step in protecting your mental and emotional health. Once you realize that your relationship isn't a place where your needs should be disregarded, you can take active steps to seek healthier connections, relationships built on mutual respect, care, and understanding. 3. Failure to fulfill promises. When someone consistently breaks their promises, it's not just a lapse in judgment, it's a window into their true intentions. Imagine a stage where words play the lead role, while actions, meant to be the real substance, are left behind, forgotten. This is the essence of broken promises. Some people have mastered the art of convincing with words, painting vivid pictures of commitment and support. Yet, when the moment comes to bring those words to life, their actions fall short, revealing the emptiness behind their assurances. In relationships like these, a predictable pattern emerges. When their help is needed most, when it's time to honor their promises, these individuals often vanish, leaving behind disappointment and unmet expectations. Their absence in critical moments isn't just a breach of trust. It's a clear indicator of their true motives. The promises they make serve as tools of manipulation, designed to extract trust, value, or support, without any intention of reciprocating. Broken promises, then, become a litmus test. They distinguish between those who value relationships as mutual exchanges of respect and support, and those who see them merely as opportunities for personal gain. For those left behind, this experience offers a painful but invaluable lesson. Not all promises are built on honesty and integrity. Recognizing when promises remain unfulfilled becomes crucial in identifying individuals who may be exploiting others. It's an act that speaks louder than any eloquent words, revealing a person's character and true intent. By recognizing this pattern, one can learn to navigate the complexities of human relationships with greater awareness, safeguarding their trust and emotional investments. 4. Diminishing or disdainful comments. When someone constantly elevates themselves by diminishing others, they are not just manipulating, they are directly attacking your self-worth. These individuals often make disparaging remarks disguised as humor or casual conversation. But in reality, they are subtle jabs at your sense of value. They might downplay your accomplishments, mock your ambitions, or act indifferent to the challenges you face, as if your efforts are unworthy of acknowledgement. This behavior functions like a form of psychological manipulation, gradually eroding your confidence. By systematically devaluing your successes and dreams, they create an imbalance in the relationship, where you are left doubting yourself and increasingly reliant on their approval. This gives them control, while you become more vulnerable to their influence. In truth, the act of belittling others is not just meant to cause harm, it's often a reflection of their own deep insecurity. By making others seem smaller, they attempt to conceal their own weaknesses and present an illusion of superiority. Recognizing and confronting this behavior is critical. When you learn to identify the subtle signs of being diminished, you can see through the superficial charm that these individuals often project. This awareness empowers you to protect yourself, set clear boundaries, and distance yourself from toxic relationships. 5. Emotional manipulation. Have you ever felt like someone was lifting you up just to tear you down later? That's the hallmark of emotional manipulation. It often begins subtly, with the manipulator presenting themselves as caring and supportive. But this facade quickly transforms into a tool for creating feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, or guilt. They master the art of pushing emotional buttons, praising you when it serves their purpose, then sharply criticizing or undermining you to sow seeds of self-doubt and dependence. Think of a delicate plant and its gardener. A good gardener nourishes the plant with just the right amount of water and sunlight. In contrast, an emotional manipulator is like a negligent gardener, overwatering one moment and neglecting the plant the next. They oscillate between extremes, creating an unstable environment where you're constantly seeking their approval to regain the warmth and support they initially offered. This kind of manipulation strikes at the very core of your emotional well-being. They may belittle your achievements or exaggerate your failures to keep you in a state of constant self-doubt. They twist situations to make you feel guilty over everyday actions, shifting blame to ensure you're the one always apologizing. In relationships marked by emotional manipulation, the balance of power is always skewed. The manipulator controls when to offer affection and when to withdraw it, keeping you off balance. It's never about mutual growth or support. It's about feeding the manipulator's needs at the expense of your emotional health. Recognizing emotional manipulation requires a keen awareness of these dynamics. It involves noticing patterns where your emotions are constantly being played with. It demands self-reflection to understand how these interactions are affecting your sense of self and your emotional health. 6. Lack of genuine support. Have you ever felt like you're always there for someone, but when you need them, they completely disappear? This is a clear sign of a lack of genuine support in a relationship. Imagine a tree standing alone in an empty field, with no other trees around to provide shade or connect their roots. It stands there, isolated, facing all the harsh conditions by itself. This is what it feels like to be in a relationship with someone who only cares about their own benefit, where you're reaching out for support, but all you get is emptiness in return. These individuals may express verbal support, offer half-hearted encouragement, or show superficial interest, but when it comes to taking real action, their absence is glaring. They might agree with your plans, nod to your efforts, but do nothing to truly support you. Their help is often surface level or even disappears entirely when you need it most. Behind this lack of genuine support lies a self-centered motive. Your successes or struggles only matter when they directly impact them. Their relationship with you becomes transactional, where every action is calculated based on what they can gain. This creates an imbalance, leaving you feeling unappreciated, as if all your effort and support go unnoticed and unreturned. To protect yourself, it's crucial to recognize this pattern and be aware of the lack of support you're receiving. Take an honest look at the relationship. Are you getting back what you've given? Only with this awareness can you decide to invest in relationships that are truly worth it, those that bring real nourishment and genuine support. 7. Constant competition. In every healthy relationship, mutual respect forms the foundation. But when one person views every interaction as a competition, things begin to unravel. Constant competition not only erodes trust, but also creates a sense of fatigue and tension where there should be support. Imagine being on a racetrack you never signed up for, yet you're constantly being pulled into it. Every achievement you reach, instead of being celebrated, is compared to someone else's success. You try to do your best, but the other person always seeks to outshine you, overshadowing your progress and turning every accomplishment into part of a game they've made up. For example, they might continuously emphasize how their success is bigger or how their career is more important. In conversations, they might retell stories of their victories, exaggerating their significance just to overshadow what you share. Every move you make becomes an opportunity for them to prove they're better, smarter, or more accomplished. This underlying competition doesn't stem from a desire for genuine connection, but from deep insecurity. For these individuals, their sense of worth is defined by how much they surpass you, rather than by their actual achievements. This dynamic turns the relationship into an emotional battleground, where you constantly feel like you're up against them, rather than alongside them. It's crucial to recognize this behavior to protect yourself from these toxic dynamics. Personal growth and support shouldn't be overshadowed by someone else's need to win. A healthy relationship requires mutual respect and the celebration of each other's successes, not an endless race for dominance. 8. Absence in critical moments. Some people in our lives are like bright lights that shine when the skies are clear, but fade away when darkness falls. In good times, when everything is going smoothly, they are there, ready to share the joy and reap the benefits of the relationship. But when challenges arise, when you need them the most, they seem to vanish, leaving you to face the storm alone. They treat the relationship as a tool, something to be used when it benefits them, and their presence only exists when there's something to gain. When life tests you, whether through emotional stress, career setbacks, or personal crises, their absence becomes painfully obvious. It's in these moments, when you need genuine support and empathy, that their lack of commitment is most clearly revealed. They pull away, exposing the reality that the relationship was only surface level, lacking depth or loyalty. Their absence during critical moments doesn't just hurt, it shatters the trust you once had. It forces you to confront the harsh truth about the nature of that connection. You begin to wonder if the emotional investment you made was truly worth it. Recognizing this pattern is essential to understanding whether a relationship is worth maintaining. The people who stand by you not just in times of joy, but also during life's toughest moments, are the ones who truly matter. And realizing someone's absence during life's defining moments is a crucial test, helping you identify who genuinely cares and is invested in your well-being. 9. Lack of reciprocity. Imagine a boat where only one person is rowing, struggling to navigate through the waters while the other sits back, enjoying the ride without lifting a finger. This perfectly illustrates a relationship lacking reciprocity. In this scenario, you're the one consistently pouring in time, energy, and emotion to maintain and nurture the relationship, while the other person's contributions are minimal at best, or perhaps non-existent. This imbalance can manifest in many ways. Maybe you're always the one initiating conversations, making plans, while they only respond half-heartedly or show little interest. Perhaps you're constantly offering empathy, listening, and support. But when you need comfort or assistance, they're nowhere to be found, indifferent to your struggles. Even in moments of personal vulnerability, you might open up sincerely, while they remain distant, unwilling to reciprocate. This lack of reciprocity often stems from a self-centered approach to relationships. For them, the relationship is merely a convenience, a resource to tap into when needed, without any genuine intention of contributing meaningfully. Their involvement is calculated, based on what benefits them, while your needs and emotions are overlooked. Such an approach is the complete opposite of what a healthy relationship should be, where mutual give and take, shared experiences, and balanced emotional investment are key. Recognizing the absence of reciprocity requires a conscious awareness of the relationship dynamics. It involves asking yourself whether the efforts to maintain and grow the connection are mutual or whether you're carrying the weight unevenly. It calls for an honest assessment of whether the relationship feels enriching or depleting, balanced or one-sided. 10. Gossip and breach of trust. Gossiping and breaching trust is like a double-edged sword. It creates a false sense of closeness while secretly stabbing you in the back. At first, it might make you feel special, as if you're being trusted with private information, as though you've been let into an exclusive circle of confidence. But the other side of that sword, sharp and dangerous, waits to betray you. When you share personal or private details, instead of safeguarding your trust, this person might use those details as weapons, spreading them to others. This isn't just a betrayal of trust. It's a calculated move to undermine your sense of security and privacy in the relationship. It shows a blatant disregard for personal boundaries, turning what should be kept confidential into something to be exploited. These individuals don't just gossip, they manipulate the social landscape by spreading and twisting information. Their goal is to control how people perceive situations, to build alliances that benefit them, or even to cause division among others, all for their personal gain. They treat relationships coldly and strategically, where people become tools and secrets are a form of currency. This behavior creates a toxic environment of distrust and insecurity, leaving their victims unsure of who they can confide in. The damage from this betrayal extends beyond hurt feelings. It can cause social and emotional fallout, damaging reputations and relationships, and even lowering the victim's self-worth. Recognizing this behavior is crucial to protecting yourself from manipulators. Pay attention to how they talk about others when they're not around, and be cautious about sharing personal information with them. Their habit of gossiping and disrespecting confidentiality is a clear sign of their character and intentions. Identifying and addressing this behavior is essential to maintaining your self-respect and ensuring your personal boundaries are respected in all relationships. 11. Select availability. You are available, they are not. Imagine you're in a conversation where every time you speak, the other person either interrupts or doesn't respond. A relationship with selective availability feels much the same. You're always making an effort to communicate, but the response from the other side is sparse and lackluster. In such a relationship, you're the one who is proactive, always present when the other person needs you, willing to share your time and emotions. But in return, their engagement is sporadic, usually only happening when it's convenient for them. They show up at random moments, almost to keep you interested. But when you need support or help, they disappear like mist in the morning. This isn't coincidence or chance. It's a deliberate choice. They maintain a convenient distance, ensuring they always have control over the relationship, leaving you wanting more but never fully receiving it. They participate when it suits them, but their presence is always on their terms, creating an emotional imbalance. As a result, you feel like you're chasing a ghost, constantly trying to hold on to a one-sided connection. Your messages are often ignored, your needs are unmet, and you gradually start to feel that your efforts aren't valued. Recognizing this pattern requires clarity. It forces you to ask yourself if what you're putting into the relationship is being reciprocated, or if you're the only one making an effort to keep this connection alive. 12. Making you feel guilty. Imagine being caught in a current where you're constantly swimming against the tide of unwanted guilt. A manipulator knows exactly how to exploit your empathy and sense of responsibility, turning these positive traits into chains that bind you. They make requests that are framed in a way where refusing would make you feel selfish. Sometimes they'll remind you of past favors, leaving you with the sense that you owe them something, pushing you into action out of a sense of obligation rather than choice. This tactic of guilt tripping often starts subtly. At first, it's just small favors you're happy to do, but over time, the demands grow larger. Gradually, you lose the ability to say no, feeling trapped in a cycle where refusing feels impossible. The relationship shifts, revolving solely around their needs, while your feelings and desires are cast aside. This strategy is effective because it targets a fundamental human desire, the need to feel good, helpful, and caring. Manipulators distort these qualities, turning them into tools of control. The result is that you no longer act out of genuine goodwill, but out of fear of the guilt that would follow. This often leaves you drained, with a sense that you've been taken advantage of. Recognizing when someone is using guilt to manipulate you is the first step in reclaiming control over your emotions and boundaries. It requires discerning between genuine requests for help and subtle schemes to exploit your kindness. Most importantly, it takes the courage to question the real motivations behind their demands and to confidently say no without feeling guilty. When you identify this tactic and refuse to let it dictate your actions, you can start building healthier relationships based on mutual respect and sincerity, free from the burden of guilt and obligation. 13. Lack of personal interest. Imagine a conversation like a game of tennis, where the ball, representing thoughts, emotions, and experiences, is passed back and forth smoothly between two people. In a healthy relationship, both sides are invested in the game, paying close attention to each other's every move with genuine interest. But when you're dealing with someone who only wants to use you, the game shifts into a one-sided drill. Instead of a mutual exchange, they hold on to the ball, dominating the conversation with their own stories and issues, while your turn to speak never really comes. This lack of personal interest is no accident. It shows up when they're always ready to talk about themselves, but when it's your time to share, they respond with distraction, change the subject, or interrupt. In a conversation, they'll go on and on about their problems, but when you open up, the response is merely nods or visible impatience. Your life, no matter how important, becomes a side note to their narrative. This behavior isn't just frustrating, it's a clear sign of a one-sided relationship where your presence only matters when it serves their needs. Every conversation feels like a monologue disguised as a dialogue, and your sense of connection slowly fades away. The emotional toll of constantly being sidelined like this can leave you feeling invisible and disrespected. Recognizing this imbalance requires you to take stock of how your interactions unfold. Ask yourself, is the conversation truly a two-way street, or does it always revolve around them? Evaluating these dynamics can help you understand whether this relationship is genuinely fulfilling or merely draining. This awareness opens the door to finding more mutual and enriching connections, where your thoughts and experiences are valued just as much as theirs. 14. Superficial closeness. The allure of a seemingly close relationship can easily be deceiving, much like a dazzling gemstone that, upon closer inspection, turns out to be merely a shiny facade. At first glance, everything appears deep and connected, with the other person presenting themselves as a genuine friend or reliable partner. You share laughter and what seem to be intimate conversations, but when real support is needed, you begin to notice the emptiness behind the surface. This superficial closeness often reveals itself when the relationship requires genuine effort or sacrifice from the other person. They may be eager when things are going well, but when challenges arise, they vanish or only offer a token presence. They're quick to join in for celebrations and happy moments, but pull away when you truly need them. What's missing in this type of relationship is the foundation of trust and reliability. They might frequently make promises, but easily break them without hesitation. Their involvement in the relationship always revolves around convenience, stepping in only when it benefits them. The underlying motivation for this behavior often stems from a desire to keep a safe connection, a relationship they can tap into when necessary without investing deeply in emotions. It's their way of keeping just enough distance, close enough to reap the benefits, but far enough to avoid real commitment. In a way, it's emotional self-preservation, where they enjoy the perks of intimacy without facing the risks of genuine attachment and responsibility. Recognizing this pattern of superficial closeness is crucial for assessing the real dynamics of the relationship. It involves closely observing how the other person behaves in different situations and asking yourself whether the emotional investment is truly balanced. A relationship built only on the surface of closeness, lacking a foundation of commitment and mutual growth, will never provide lasting satisfaction. Identifying this sign helps you seek relationships that are grounded in authenticity, reciprocity, and emotional depth. 15. Persistent lack of respect. Disrespect isn't just a fleeting lapse in judgment or a harsh word spoken in anger. It's a recurring pattern of behavior that seeps into a relationship like an undercurrent, slowly eroding the foundation of trust and mutual respect. It manifests through belittling comments, disregard for your feelings, or the repeated violation of boundaries you've set. Imagine a house with its foundation gradually being worn away over time. Brick by brick, it's removed quietly, unnoticed, until the entire structure begins to crumble. Persistent disrespect functions in the same way, chipping away at the core of the relationship. At first, it might seem like minor slights, but over time, these words and actions create a toxic environment where you feel devalued or overlooked. When you're dealing with someone who consistently shows disrespect, even simple conversations can feel like emotional battlegrounds. What should be an open exchange turns into subtle forms of contempt, undermining your confidence and sense of worth. Whether consciously or not, they use disrespect as a tool to assert control, keeping you in a state of self-doubt and maintaining dominance in a dynamic that should be built on equality and mutual care. This consistent lack of respect deeply undermines the relationship's foundation. Disagreements, instead of being handled with understanding and empathy, turn into battlegrounds where emotional casualties are ignored. The normal flow of relationship dynamics breaks down, making it nearly impossible to restore a sense of mutual respect and equality. Recognizing and acknowledging this pattern of constant disrespect is critical. It requires looking beyond isolated incidents to see the broader pattern of behavior. Respect isn't just about grand gestures. It's present in daily interactions, small acknowledgements, and the way disagreements are handled with fairness and care. Ultimately, ongoing disrespect in a relationship is a clear sign that the other person doesn't view you as an equal partner, but as a means to their own ends. Their disregard for your feelings and dignity reveals a relationship that is fundamentally imbalanced and unhealthy. Identifying this behavior is crucial for anyone who values their self-worth and seeks relationships grounded in mutual respect and equality. I hope you enjoyed the video. Since you've made it to the end, feel free to share your thoughts and leave your wise advice in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And be sure to check out the videos on the screen. There's plenty of Stoic wisdom packed in there. Don't miss out. See you again soon.